Hi everyone, my name is ClaudiaRadon, and this is Science and Technology in Ancient Greece and Rome. And this is my video presentation for Project 1. For Project 1, we were asked to make a model of an object that demonstrates a concept or discovery in ancient science or recreates an ancient technology. So I decided to make a model of a papyrus scroll, and that's coming up along with a little bit of history and background on it. How exactly did knowledge and information spread in the ancient world? Well, back then there was no internet and no television to serve as mass mediums. There were no scientific journals being published, and no universities existed where research could be done and conveyed. Now, as we have seen through this course, there was plenty of knowledge and discovery to be conveyed. Natural philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle shared ideas and information through conversations and lectures. Some of these verbal exchanges would eventually be written down. This brings us to books. There might not have been scientific journals, magazines, or newspapers back then, but there were books and textbooks. These were sold in bookstores and held in libraries, and they were made of a variety of materials and in various formats. The earliest coming in the form of papyrus scrolls, of course. But what exactly is papyrus and where does it come from? Well, papyrus is actually a plant. It's a type of reed commonly found in Egypt. To make papyrus sheets, papyrus reeds were first flanned, then moistened, then hammered together crosswise, and finally dried. For this project, I made my own model of a papyrus scroll. Unfortunately, my access to a real papyrus plant was limited, so I had to improvise with materials a bit. My final model comprised of 2 brown paper bags, 4 chopsticks, some hot glue, and a ribbon. Other materials I used in the process included a lighter and a black pen. To make my model, I first ripped open each paper bag so that it became one sheet. I then crumpled each sheet and flanned it out again, repeating this a few times to give it an older look. Next, I hot glued the 2 sheets together along the shorter edges to create one long sheet. I then carefully burned the edges of my long sheet to further the ancient look. After that, I glued 2 chopsticks on each short end for the purpose of holding my scroll. Once the glue dried, I rolled up each side halfway so that they met in the middle, and finally tied it all together with a piece of ribbon. Here I am with my final product. It may not be made of a real papyrus plant, but it is a fully functioning scroll nonetheless. Now, as I go ahead and unroll it, you can see what the black pen was used for. A papyrus scroll wouldn't be complete without writing. In the ancient world, such scrolls contained primarily text, though they did sometimes include images as well. And just to give you a full-length view here one more time. As I've mentioned before, papyrus scrolls were the earliest forms of books. Eventually, they began to be replaced by codices, which look much more like a modern book. The pages of codices, however, were for some time still made of papyrus. Papyrus, however, tended to be a bit more fragile, and therefore in time it was swapped in these codices in favor of vellum. Vellum, in turn, was a smooth writing paper, back then made of stretched animal skin, most often from a calf. Amazingly, some pretty impressive ancient papyruses have survived to this day. One example is papyrus number 11529 at the Berlin Museum. This sheet dates back to the 2nd century AD. It contains text on topics in geometry and, as you can see, even some images of triangles. As you can see, papyrus was a significant innovation in a form of technology that allowed for information and knowledge to be spread in the ancient world. Beyond that, articles of papyrus that survived to modern day allowed us to learn about the ancient world from first-hand sources. Think of it as the ancient version of your smartphone. Thank you for watching my Project 1 video presentation. I hope you enjoyed.